Okay. Um, it's so easy to be frustrated, and I can feel my brain just being played with to the point where at one point I felt like, okay, I'm dozing off. It's in my brain. It's just something's happening to my brain where they are doing something for me to just like almost having a seizure level, or at least like dozing off, or like just like sleepy. And that's because there's something that's happening in the sense of how they're trying to paint me, right? And I've been talking about how they've been trying to paint me. They create this false persona, which they do everything possible to make you accepting of it. Now, let me say this: I've been very expressive of the type of manipulation and reaction I'm forced to have today, right? Today, they do the pedophile type of torture. I've clearly brought up the validation that this is something they do to others. But when they make me experience this, they want me to be thinking what's happening is, what we're doing, we're just like mapping, we're putting things together. It's you, but in a mapped way. I don't know what it means, but they try to basically say, yes, we're manipulating you, but it makes sense because it's you, right? And I'm talking about perps. It's obvious what it is, right? I'm a target individual. What happens when you become a target individual? The government is using you as a test subject. What happens is you are circled by people who are working for these governmental entities. You're going to see what they do. And they want you to identify with the manipulation they make you experience today. The technology we're talking about is technology that can manipulate you in the ways that you can't even understand, meaning that you can be manipulated to have reactions of all sorts, right? Reaction can be sexual stimulations, they can be all kind of reaction, and it's just not only the reaction, the emotional reaction, but thought process are completely manipulated. Not only that, but your memories can actually be manipulated. It's like they recreate you and create a personality in different fashion. They are literally trying to change who you are and try to make you be somebody, and then they have people around you who are going to try to gaslight you into accept this version of you that's not you. And they have perps of all level, and they do everything possible to make you accepting of it. They become clowns, and whose they is this perps, these contracted individuals. This comes from co-workers, these people, neighbors, those are like full-on perps. I mean, they're gonna act accordingly. They're gonna slam the doors. They're gonna do all this gimmicky character-like ways and truly dumbing themselves down, right? Right from the employers to the co-workers to your neighbors to even the noise campaign from outside. You're gonna hear some of it. I just want to prep everything here, and I want to make sure that I say these things because as much as I can express myself well, what I experience in my head is different, right? And these people truly do the foulest thing you can imagine. The words don't describe how foul they are, but also how easy it is to do the foulness they do, the disgusting things they do, right? For me, I understand that these perps want you to accept this bullshit. But I've been able to express myself well enough, at least, even with the manipulation I express. The latest manipulation, which is not really late in sense, because I made a video in last year in July, right? It was removed. You see this picture here, right? It shows this video was made. It was called Archery Girl, and I was talking about this girl that they were trying to use her as validation of what they make me experience today. And I was talking about this girl. She's like a social influencer slash like a contortionist, right? I just made this video not too long ago about her. And at this point, they just look for whatever they can use to say, it's you. Matter of fact, not only that, today they are prepping frames where they're literally saying they are gonna say this, that I did something to a child here, a teenage kid or some sort, some 13-year-old, even, I don't know. The ages, I keep hearing them saying the different ages, right? So what they're trying to do is to use whatever they can to feel validated about the manipulation that they obviously implement onto me. So they obviously manipulate me in this fashion, but they want to put things together. Now, for me, my brain, things are just so manipulated that it's hard for me to see things in that the fashion, in the real way. But I can express it. So what I'm gonna say, as well, I can articulate it. Unfortunately, my brain is just being ravaged and manipulated by trash, low life with no self-respect. They have no shame to play the game. Matter of fact, you're gonna hear how obvious things are, that I'm being gaslighted, and this persona is really trying to be pushing my head. And the people interacting with you, some of them are just like real children, like retards, man, just trash. People that don't fucking respect in any ways. But it's not only your neighbors. We're talking about coworkers who like that have kids and like they use whatever they can. Okay, now let's get back to this contortionist social influencer. I remember seeing, you see over there, that little like thumbnail over there. I remember seeing that little thumbnail over there. When you look at this picture, you're like, okay, well, was you think it's a woman or something like that, right? You can see this is a person who's she's contortioning her body in this fashion. So just by looking at the initial picture, you would think that perhaps this is a woman, and you can picture something sexual. Then you click on it and you see, oh no, she's just like a teenager, And don't get me wrong, very beautiful girl, but just like a kid. Like, she even has a physique of a kid, right? And I remember seeing that. And it's like, okay, she's very wholesome. Actually, her content is very wholesome. It's just innocent, really PG, maximum PG-13 type of content. It's like really wholesome. It's the kind of person at the end you're like, oh God, oh, bless her. She seemed like a sweetheart, innocent person. Very pretty, but like a child, And they brought that last year, right? So, oh, you see, that's proof that this reaction toward children is real, because look at her. Look at how you looked at her, and of course they try to change it into different version. And I'm like, okay, like what? I never had I never looked at her as like, oh my gosh, I want to be with her, or even felt like sexual toward her. And the first thing they try to do is like, oh, how old was she? How old is she? Now, I'm like, okay, let's figure it out, right? Because this is somebody I can look up, and I don't know. It's like, I don't know. She looked like some very young person. I don't know how young though, right? Let's look it up. I look it up, and because I made the mistake to not use my calculator, right? And that means that it's going to be mental calculation. They are in my brain. They make me have the date a year off, because I'm not using my calculator. For very simple math. That's how it goes now. I don't trust my brain, and I have to use technology to do simple math. And so I'm like, okay, she's, based on this math here in my mind, she's 18 years old. And I'm like, even if she's 18, which is considered an adult, it's like, I still don't see her in this way. This is what I was saying in that video that you see that was removed, right? Saying that she still had like a physique of a kid. She doesn't mean, she's beautiful face, but still have like a body of a child. Like, she's still like petite, like teenagey, like, not ew, sorry. More like, it's just, she still really very much look like a kid, even if she's 18. In my mind, I thought she was, because of the mind calculation that I have, which I should have used the calculator, because I could see the birth date, and I could see the year, and I did the math in my head instead of using a calculator. And I was like, even with my, with at the time me thinking she's 18, I'm like, she still look like a kid. Right, this is what this video was literally saying. Thankfully, I found the recording of this video, even though it was removed from YouTube. I can pull it up and literally say that this is last year in July. Okay, for some reason they bring this person back again. Actually, I know how. There was a YouTube video, right, about her, and I see her, and this time obviously she's a little bit older. She's in her 20s, right, and they're asking her like it's called the spicy questions, right? And I'm looking at a spicy question. I'm like, oh no, like I don't want you to, I don't want her to hear anything spicy about her in that fashion. She's too innocent. She's like so pure to me that I don't even want to think about her in this way. But at this point, she's 23. Okay, she can very much be talking, or about to be 23. She can very much be talking about sex if she wants to. Okay, it's she's an adult. Okay, in her 20s. But then they bring up this thing, that this video about last year, right? And they bring up this picture over there. It's like, how old was she when she took that picture, right? And remember the math I did, but I'm like, I know that I shouldn't be trusting my brain. So I'm like, I could be like off, because hey, this mental math is really not something I should rely on, right? And I didn't use a calculator, so it could be definitely off, especially with the state of brain I have. And then they tried to make me think, oh, when she took that picture, she was not an adult. I was like, I don't actually really know at this point, because I know my math in my brain is not a math I can trust. So let me go look it up. But before that, they make noise campaign, because they're like, oh, but when she took that picture, you at that moment you could picture that picture in a sexual way. And it's having these things in my brain, this arguments, and be like, oh, you see, you looked at her in a sexual way, because truthfully, when I saw her content, it was never sexual. I could say, okay, she's a pretty beautiful girl, but never like, oh, I want to be with this. Like, it will make me think in a sexual way. It's like she looked like a kid, a teenager. Even though at this point, I guess I thought she was like a 18-year-old. But they're like, oh, in that picture, when she's doing this contortionist thing, there you could see her in a sexual way. And they start doing this. Listen to this. For 30 seconds, straight 30 seconds, just a honking, just to try to be like, oh, we got you. You see, that's proof. Look, listen. Just honking. No stop. 30 seconds. Just honking. Do you know why? Because they try to say, you see, that's proof. You see how you could see her, and you see that picture, like there you could see her in a sexual way. And I'm like, what the F? You can't even see this person. So I'm like, wait, let me go see her age, because this is crazy. Like, because I know my math in my brain. Oh, I know I shouldn't trust my brain when it comes to do math. I need to trust a calculator or something that a technology of some sort. I could check, and I look, oh my gosh, the math was off. It was 1 year off. So in that picture, she's like 17. And I go, you see, that's proof. That's why this guy was honking, because in this picture here, when she's doing this contortionist thing, you can picture this in a sexual way. And for them, these people who desperately want me to identify with these pedophilia things, because what's happening today, when I look at a child, they force me to get sexual stimulation. But they want me to be, no, we mapped it, we're putting things, we like investigating, we're putting things together. I was like, no, you're desperately looking for something to try to make me acceptive of this manipulation. So this person doing this here, for 30 seconds, is to try to push me to like, it's like, no, you see, we have proof. They really want to paint you in this fashion, but they become so desperate to the point where a contortionist, a picture of somebody being a contortionist, where you can barely see who that person is. Look at this picture. Look. They were making those campaign thinking this is their validation. These people are disgustingly sad. Because the manipulation they do is obvious. They are forcing me to have these reactions, and they try to put together a painting of some sort that's so falsified that they try to pick on anything they can to try to use that as validation. It is so pathetic because my validation are surreal. It's magical. You're gonna hear some of it. I'm putting that in their face all the time. I put that in their face all the time. And the validation that I have is not even just validation that they manipulate your brain, but also validation that they try to implant this personality. On top of that, I have validation that they have issues with pedophilia in those entities running this program. And I have validation that they have issues saying the name of this man that you're going to hear. While me, it's like, oh my gosh, this person when she was this I guess 17 at this point in this picture, this person when she's doing this contortionist acrobacy when you didn't know it was her, looking at this picture, you could think of her of that picture in a sexual way. It's like, yes, look at her. You can't see this person. That's why it's easy. But then you go in the picture and then you look at it. I was like, okay, when you look at her as a person, when she's just normal, it's like, oh my gosh, she's still, even today as an adult, matter of fact, unfortunately yesterday I went back to her Instagram. It's like, oh gosh, she still looked like a kid actually. And I don't mean to insult her, and I don't mean to be harassing, not even harassing, to be degrading to anybody. I'm sorry. I would say she's skinny and petite. I guess not my cup of tea, right? Not the. This is not what I would go for. To me, I like, at least if I'm gonna be over some, I like people who look womanly, right? At least if I could design what I want in somebody, it would be somebody who look more womanly, meaning more voluptuousness. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with her, and I'm not trying to make these videos to insult anybody or to degrade anybody, but this is how they're painting me, and so I make these videos to ensure that target video, their job, their task is to make you acceptive of this false persona by any means. And they have no shame. So they have no shame of how stupid they can look like and how dumb they can make themselves be, because they try to gaslight you enough to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, you know what? You're right. Look at this picture here. Look. And then they're like, oh, but you think she's pretty? Look at beautiful girl. Of course, look at her. But it's like looking at somebody. Oh, it's like, oh, you're still like a kid to me. And I'm saying that when I'm thinking that she's like 18, it's like you're just like still a kid. Beautiful though, good for you. But it's obviously trying to paint this false persona. Now it doesn't end there. Now because of that, it's like, oh, you did the math wrong when you were doing this mental math. They try to bring up anything else to try to create doubts. They are so sad. Let me repeat that in a different way, because this is not the word I'm trying to use. It is so pathetic to see people who obviously are trying to put things together to make you accepting of this manipulation. And this is coming from people who are literally saying, we are framing you. These are individuals who literally say, we are literally framing you. Literally having children say that you did something to them to frame you. We're going to make these kids say that you did something that you didn't do to frame you. It's like, no, you need to be no, you are framing people, because these people are not the people that you try to claim them to be. So you are going to create a false reality, because the truth is, these entities that contract this low life here are actually the problem. They're actually the predators. There's clearly validation of that. Nobody is framing them. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. There is a problem, so much so, and it's a real problem, in the sense that it's just so validating that the entities that are doing these things to you are actually the problem, the predators. You're going to hear that, of course. I put that in their face all the time. Matter of fact, it's so pathetic that they can't even say the name of this man who literally pick up kids. They can't say the name of this man here who allegedly, when he was an assistant DA, was banned from the YMCA for soliciting sex from kids, teenagers. To say his name, it's the via V2K. This is how I deal with all these interactions. There's a lot of interaction here via V2K, right? And that's how I can hear them interact with me. And via this interaction, they say everything. But to say his name, Jesus, is something else. To say this man's name, it's as if they're saying that a God's name that they shouldn't say it. That it would be blasphemous to say. It would be blasphemous. But that's reality for them. They better know how to, what not to say. But with me, it's funny because it's not funny. It is. I mean, it is a little bit laughable because I'm like, I know all of this facts about them, about what they do and how they try to paint this, and the issues in these entities and the tactics they utilize and the pedophilia type of torture, all of these things, and it makes sense. Okay, these people now are trying to make it seem like they're not manipulating me, but somehow like investigating, and they're bringing up whatever they can to be like, now you see that person is real because you see that picture there. You see, he looked at this picture in this way. And then manipulate the memories. You see, he thinks this girl is pretty. Look at her. Seriously. It's obvious. Then, beside this thing, I brought up every other things they try to use to present this false persona. Now, it goes back to this, the things they like to do too, right? If somebody's an adult, right, a young adult, and they've done that multiple times, right, if somebody just looks young, right, and where age can be something that can be hard to guess, they're going to try to make me imagine that person to be a kid and be like, oh, you see, to the point where I myself have to remember, how does a 22-year-old look like? How does a 23-year-old, and to me at this point, they kind of look like children they almost look like teenage kids. But I think it's me just getting a little older. Right, but at the same time, there's, people look older than their age, people look younger than their age, and so that adds to it, right? But they use whatever they need to, because their task is to paint you, to make this false reality. They want you to. They are framing you, literally. But they're trying to make it look like, oh, we're just investigating. We're doing that for our girls. He's a predator. When the truth is, they're the fucking predators in every way you can imagine. Not only they are rewinding your current experiences when you look at children, they force you to have sexual stimulation. These people wearing pages and whatever ways are literally living day in and day out to see how they can manipulate your brain to have reaction that are sexual or some kind of reaction disgusting toward children. That is their job. They call it their war. So they try to find whatever things they can use to create this false reality, this false persona. Something they were trying to do at one point is this TikTok. It was, to them, it was like, oh my gosh. But they were, what they tried to do? This person is most likely in her 20s, but I can never find her, right? There's somebody that looked like it was her, and they tried to mess with me. I thought she was like a younger person. She was 24 years old. It looked like the same person, but like 2 years younger, so like 22. So I'm thinking this TikTok person was like around that age, like 20-ish, early 20, from 20 to 22, right? But I can never find her because I'm not on TikTok. I don't like, just, I don't know, being on TikTok, I think obviously things have changed, but for me, TikTok will always be connected to like very younger demographic, but now everybody's on TikTok. So, but there's this TikToker, I remember seeing, not even TikTok, like a TikTok dance on Snapchat. And this person looked like, to me, she looked like she's in her 20s. And they're like, oh, Dad, you thought this person was pretty. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sure. And they're like, oh, you see, that's proof. I was like, you're just looking for anything. And the thing is, this person is most likely a 20-some-year-old. But because I cannot validate that, oh, they can play. They can use that. Oh, you see that person dancing there, that TikTok. You thought she was pretty. You thought she was. I'm like, are you serious? They're so desperate now. They're like, oh, no, this person is pretty. You see, that's proof. Are girls. Because what's happening today, they're forcing me to have stimulation. And by the way, let me just say this fun fact. When I was looking at this video, I was in this celibacy state where I was celibate by this time by like 4 months or so. I've never been this celibate. And the way I stay celibate is I was watching things that would not drive me to think sexually. So when I saw this person doing the TikTok, it did not drive me sexual. And I purposely watched this thing because I knew that it was not going to drive me sexually. Now, did I think that this 20-some-year-old looked pretty? Yeah, I'm sure. But because I don't know, I'm not validated that she's 21 or 22 or whatever. They can be like, oh, you thought this person that was underage was pretty. No, you can just make me imagine that. Because you see these people over there, I have to take a screenshot of what a 21-year-old look like. If I saw this person and I was not able to see their age, they will mess with me. It's like, oh, look at her. You see, you saw her, you thought this person was pretty. And so now what they try to do to make me feel doubtful is like, but you see, you did the math wrong when I'm like, oh my goodness, they're so pathetic. Try to put these things together. They are looking for whatever they can. And then they go, oh, by 2014, you followed this person on Snapchat. This person I swear to God, she looks so much older than her age. It's like, look at her. And this is the person there. You see, and they start painting this picture using all whatever things they can. Oh no, but these people dancing there. You thought, it's like, Jesus. Trying to put things together to try to make me accepting of this manipulation they make me have today. I have this other like content of like this wholesome family. And I was watching the brother. The brother is the main guy there. He has his younger sister, and they do this like very wholesome. Him, the younger sister, the boyfriend, and doing this like they were changing that up. Matter of fact, I went back to his page. I saw the sister. Oh my gosh, the sister is at this time is like a teenage kid, pretty girl, good for her. But now in my brain, all the stimulations. Oh, it's like, you see, you want her. It's like, Jesus. This is the videos I used to watch when I was celibate because it will keep me celibate. Meaning that it will not make me think. And when I mean celibate, let me just say this. I mean celibate in the sense that I will not even do anything to me sexually. It was complete celibacy. And so they try to paint all these things together to make me accept the manipulation they make me have today. While they tell me they're going to frame me using their kids. They are creating a persona that's falsified. Kind of like this. Listen to this.
Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist, and it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly. It's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds.
Personalities. Rebuild.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, okay, so.
So you heard the last part. This part, let me just bring that up again.
You can
You alter their minds.
alter their minds.
Personalities
And
rebuilt.
it's like
Personality rebuilt. Okay, that's literally what they're doing. They in real time altering my mind. So I see a child, from the babies, the little ones, to the older kids. Stimulation. They alter my response, my reaction. They make me experience something. They make me experience something I would not experience naturally. Then they try to create this personality and create whatever storyline they can put together based on whatever they can, right? And then they have these perps from neighbors and co-workers doing everything possible for you to be acceptive of these manipulations. And you have people who are willing to, like, even do this kind of things with their, there's people outside, right? The neighbors, not even neighbors, but in your area, that immediately when they come up with these storylines, they do this. And it goes on. And the reason why is because they want to scare you into accepting this manipulation, to scare you into accepting this false persona. So, oh, we have proof. Look, and they just honk as if that was just like, it was like the validation that they needed. Oh my gosh, we got him. That's proof. I'm like, Jesus. And that's because this specific is because you said that picture over there. It's like, oh, in that picture, you could see this picture, and I say, I'm like, Jesus. When a person is literally contortioning their body in their fashion. It's crazy. So they put these things together that is just like, oh my gosh, you're just looking for how you can, and then on top of that, they're manipulating you and your memories in this fashion. So you now have a feelings and sensation that you didn't feel at the time. Especially with, like, you see that those three over there, the brothers, there's a brother, there's the boyfriend of the girl, which is the sister. And the sister now is how I made a video about them too. Because I used to watch the brothers' content, which is very wholesome, like, very like family oriented, PG-13 max, during my time of like celibacy. And they started to create these things toward this kid, the teenage, the sister over there. And in some of the pictures, she's dressed a little bit more in a sexual way. So they try to, like, you see, you want her there. It's like, no, she's a kid. I saw her as a kid that she was. And, you just try to change that. It's like, oh, no, rapper, you want her. It's like, of course I don't want her. This kid. Look at her. But, like, you thought she's good for them. Pretty good for you. Like, you understand, at this point they want me to feel like, oh, you think that this person is pretty. Good for her. What does he have to do? Be good. Do you think that I can imagine myself even talking to this? No. But they're doing their best to try to, and today is just crazy because they do that to babies, like little children. They can force me to perceive them in this sexual way. So the kids, the older kids, that can be put in my brain more like adults because they're closer to adulthood, even though they're not adults. It's easy for them to manipulate me in this fashion. That's what they're going to do. But you got to understand, these are coming from people who are telling you they're going to frame you. In your brain with the capability to make you perceive things the way they want you to experience things. So you have people who are sole job is to make you experience this nastiness and then try to make you acceptive of this manipulation, who tell you they're going to frame you using their children and then try to present you as you are the predator. You are the threat to children. When the truth is, they are working for government entities that have problem with issues of that nature, where there's a lot of predators working in these offices that contract this whole life, while me, they're out here trying to pick things together and try to put it together in such a sloppy way. So it's such a desperate way. Some of that is made up. A lot of it is made up. Whatever they can hold on to. For example, me following this person over there called Ocean. I was like, oh my God, look, you follow her in 2014, you see? It's like, look at her. She looked like an adult. That's why I follow her. I followed somebody thinking that was an adult. Look at them. This over there, this contrasting, look at the what she has to do to her body to look anyway. These kids over there, they were wholesome content. You just tell me, oh, and by the way, it's just one of these pictures, right? Where this kid over there, this sister, is like dressed in certain ways so they can create this perception that a little sexual. I was like, oh, you just manipulate me in these ways. But you have perps whose job are solely to try to make you accepting of this manipulation, and they're working for pedophiles or governmental entities with a lot of pedophilia, and they've been utilizing the pedophilia type of torture, and the defamations have been the same. And you hear them making noise campaign and try to get you to be all riled up, to get you to accept these things. Because today, what's happening, you are forced to get sexual stimulations. And they somehow want you to not think about it. And think that they are just putting things together. And then you get validated. And on top of that, they're doing things to my body, right? For me, it's like, I'm not going to let them live their fantasy. Whatever things you can try to put is literally trying to find what they can utilize to make me acceptive of this manipulation. And there's a lot of it is fabricated and changed and manipulated. You know what they do? My brain literally, I could feel like a weird feeling in my brain being cranked up when they were trying to make me think of this contortionist or this kid over there. Of the out of the three. You see the one with the boyfriend? And you have perps of all sorts making no escape. Oh, you are. It's like trash. You're fucking low life working for pedophiles. You can't even say the name of this man that allegedly picked up kids from the YMCA without saying it in such a special way. While me, you're trying to find what you own. Now the sister of this person, you see how manipulation. You see that contortionist when she does this like this. That you look, you see. She just that. Oh my gosh. Oh, the TikTok. You see how? Oh, see, you thought she was like. Well, first of all, this most likely an adult, a young adult that you just try to make me. And I'm celibate when I'm watching that, because this is the kind of things I watch when I'm celibate, because this is not going to drive me to think sexually. But you thought she was pretty. It's like, you dumb, sad piece of shit. Oh no! In 2014, you followed this person. In 2014, you followed this person. It's like, look at how she looked like. I followed somebody who I thought was an adult. Look at her. And they've tried to do everything. Matter of fact, at one point they were like tried to say, "You see that contortionist of there? It was bait. Bait for what? To go on Instagram? I went on Instagram. Very wholesome stuff. Oh my gosh, it was like honestly a turn off. Like, oh my god, not a turn off in the sense that it would not. It did the opposite of making me feel stimulated. It's just a wholesome girl doing her wholesome thing. Well, innocent, very like such a sweetheart looking person. Definitely not the type that will make me think, let me think sexual. No, not at all. They're so desperate. Try to find ways to make me like, no, all along they're investigating. You are the pedophiles. It's been validated. There's a whole bill called "End the National Defense Network Abuse Act" because of the pedophilia issues. This is real life things. Not some retardation of putting things together in such a in such a spread out way. When I'm validated in ways that are magical. You guys are now here protecting children. I'm not a threat to children. You are trying to point me as such. You are actually manipulating my brain to experience this disgusting reaction. And the truth is, we know who's truly the threat to children. You can't even say the name of this man who allegedly was a threat to children. Matter of fact, you're it's so pathetic that you're even willing to be a threat to your own children by using their own children to frame me. But it's okay. The reason why I make these videos, as repetitive as they sound, is I want to be able to articulate what's happening to me, because target individual, this is a common tactic. There's a science to this. I want you as a target individual, if you come along my video, the physical torture is easy. It's easy to articulate what happens. I can feel my organs right now failing. Right? They are targeting my organ, they destroy my organs, and because of that, my body's gonna fail. It's gonna crash out. Right? It's easy. My organs are being destroyed, so I'm going react to that. This is psychological and cognitive warfare that this man said. Where this at this point we're test subjects. We're not really they're just using us as like guinea pigs, where they're using this technology to rewire us, to manipulate us, and then utilize whatever they can use, because this technology have access to your memories and have access to manipulate your memories. So pick on whatever they can to try to paint this false persona, while making you experience in real time this reaction that this false persona would react if it was real. So they give you the sexual stimulation, and they're like, no, but you see that the sister of this social influencer, you see how you looked at her, falsified. Or but you see the way this person, the way she the way she is like that there in this what's the word they use it, contortion, the way she's like bending her body in this fashion, that way you can look at her in a sexual way. Oh no, in 2014 you followed this person, remember? Ocean, yeah, her over there, you see, you follow her, and then the rest is just even more, it becomes even more fabricated. Oh, this TikToker who's like, I'm pretty, I have a strong feeling, like I'm pretty certain that she's like 20 years old, but it's just guessing. It's not, I don't have the validation, but she's like 20 something, 22, but it's like, you thought she was pretty, you see? So today we're not manipulating you. You see how sad and pathetic the things they try to use to get you to accept this false persona? And the gaslighting is this intense. That a person will honk because, oh my gosh, we're so validated. Look at it. So sad. And they're like, oh, you can be castrated. It's like, I can be castrated in every ways. You can't even say raw you more. You understand? These people are pedophiles. They're projecting onto you. And what I mean by pedophiles is they have this tendency to manipulate people in these ways. You're going to hear that. The entities running this program, using us as test subjects, have issues that have been shown to be very pedophilia-centric. They can't say the name of a man that picked up kids as young as 14 years old. And they have these tactics of painting this false reality. And it's basic. It's so obvious. And for me, I'm like, you're going to dumb yourself down. I know, because my brain can be manipulated. And you think that it's going to help. And by the way, they're going to frame me. Listen, if somebody is a threat to children, right? You don't have a child frame them. You know what they're saying? Oh, we baited you. No, you didn't. You are framing me. I don't know who you're talking about. I'm going to figure it out when the day comes. Because the interaction that you claim to have, I don't know. Well, let me just say that. They're not happening with me. My devices might be used to do this interaction. That is what you call framing. I have no interest in this trash talking to me, saying that at her age. She's going to make something up with you guys. Because you guys are guiding her that this is called frame. Because you guys are the threat to children. And you can't even say Roy Moore. Whatever's going to happen to me, I'd rather die in this hell than live the life they live. Make themselves this retarded. Using their own children to frame somebody. Nobody's interested in their retarded ass kids. Nobody who is, I'm talking about me, nobody wants these dumbasses. But because whatever financial opportunity or other incentives, they have sold their own children and painted me as this predator, when the truth is they work for the predators. Trust me, they know who I really am. I have no doubt about that. It's about countering reality and painting me in this fashion where they have to pick things to people who like literally didn't even in my utmost celibacy state will be the content the content I will watch. The people who actually drive me away from thinking in a sexual way. It was, when I watch them do the whatever content they have, it was so refreshing in a sense, like, oh, it just makes me not, it feels so PG, so wholesome, so like away from anything sexual. It was just like, oh, it almost like lifted away any sexual feeling I had, just like take it away, like just woof. Me who at one point wanted to maintain celibacy. But reality is repented. And I will never let them live their fantasy. And every time they try to make me think there was a take, it's like, you can't say Roy Moore. Now listen to the validations. That they do this pedophilia type of torture. That this is not unique to me. You're gonna hear that they even women with kids, they're like are here making them feeling sexual stimulation toward teenagers. And then try to play this feminist, this protector of children, these investigators. You're gonna hear this woman, right? I don't even want to say her name, because if I say her name, they could try to counter her. Not only they raped this woman, right, and this woman testifies saying, I'm consistently raped. But then they started this new program where they force her to get sexual stimulation toward children, young people and children. Listen to that.
Every night. Then I thought how that could happen, but then I told them that they would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says or does, then they started during the nights to run some kind of beam where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible, and some other times can actually catch what is saying, ITS not my voice, a different voice, and I realized that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Of course this is not new, because one main thing this program is out there, is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. I learned to talk back, in my mind, during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things, that I cannot repeat it in this blog, you know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words. In my mind, I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. From me and my family. Then said this, the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I usually called demeaning names, and one of them is referring to homosexuals. For me all of the slaves are misfits, society haters, scumbags, etc. No, I don't have anything personal against them, homosexuals, but as my way to aggravate the slaves, and since they love to use children for the torture and stalking, street theater etc. Especially teenagers for the stalking at close range with an attitude, they are using them during my sleep in the perversion program, and so you can imagine what the slaves of torture are pretending to do to me. In the last night, 07, anything I do, either watching TV or reading of whatever I'm doing, they brush me sort of say, I feel like I'm aroused all day and I feel the palpitations in my genitals for what I'm thinking, and since the attack comes so quickly, I realized my programming has been set on auto, in their central computers, no handlers could do something like this that quick. What make me realized, the slaves are desperate to get me. Unfortunately for them they are facing a strong wall where no matter how much their computers EAP me, I know I'm not changing. As I said, I feel like they've been set up a beam where I feel constantly stimulated. I'm talking sexually, like a heat in my genitalia.
So this is a testimony that I find there's like when I discovered the whole target individual community, there was this list of there was like 100 testimonials from all around the world. Most of them were American citizen, and as you can see, you just it's read out loud, right? It was written, and of course, this Perps try to make fun of how people are writing. This woman, this is how she's writing, and they like make fun of how like her writing is not accordingly, as if that's validation. It's like, oh, you see how she's saying this in. It's so sad, but she described a lot of the things that I'm experiencing. You see, like even with her, they have this program perversion and the deceptive storylines where they force her to have sexual stimulation toward children, young people, in children. And at one point, she calls out specifically like teenager that with attitude, like around her, making this noise campaign, annoying her, and then they will have her have like sexual dreams about it. All these things that have some around me. There's people who if they're adult, barely adult, or teenagers, making noise campaign, doing this thing, have attitudes. Young people from young 20s to late teens to even like babies in participating, and they're forcing me to get these nasty reactions. But you understand the level of validation. And when I say desperate, right, she said something about desperate there, right? I said desperate too, in the sense that you understand somebody who hogged the car to that level. They hog have the car make that noise for 30 seconds in order to make me accept that, oh my gosh, they caught me, oh my gosh, that's proof. Because they were trying to say, you see, the way you looked at this person bending her body in all these different ways, you could see her in a sexual way. Honking. 30 seconds of this. Because like, oh, we saw this, we saw that. Oh, that's proof. There's a sense of, it's not desperation, but it's just like they want to show that they're very like, oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming. Oh my gosh, we got so much. They dumb themselves down to this level because they know it's falsified. Listen, I'm not even trying to flatter them. I know they're not this stupid. I know that they understand the task. What can we put together to make it look like that what we're doing to him is not something we're manipulating? What kind of storylines? What kind of facade? Like, oh, Jesus. Who can we like add to this? Okay, they all kind of stories they try to put together to try to make me accepting of what they make me experience today. Because today they are manipulating my reaction toward children, from the babies to the older kids. Obviously, the older kids is not going to break me down as much as the babies, but they're doing that today. And so to do that, to make me acceptive of the manipulation, they're like, no, what we're doing, we're putting things together, we're investigating, and we notice it's been over. Because then you're going to hear the fact that they can manipulate your reactions. Sexual reaction, your thought process, and even your freaking memories. And they have these tactics that they do that's very pedophilia-centric. You just heard what she said. And at one point they're like, no, you wrote this. What? I don't have the brain capacity to write anything like that. Writing an email right now is complicated. Oh my gosh. My brain is just being ravaged. But these people work for pedophiles. It's been validated that the entities they work for pedophilia-centric. And they are contracted by these pedos to make you identify with this pedophilia type of torture. And when I say contracted by these pedos, I'm saying that because the entities running this program have had issues with pedophilia to the point where a bill called End National Defense Network Abuse Act was created because of the amount of child porn traffic. Listen to the validation of how they manipulate the brain. And you have perps, right? Just like this woman described. Childish. Some of them, I think they're actual kids. Some of them are barely adults. And like, now you're a pedo, to counter what I just said. You see, these kids or young people depending on the age, are here to try to create and present this false reality. And I think I understand why they like childlike individuals. It's because the mentality of a child is so easily, they can easily create this fantasy. And I think as your mature brain, it's harder to be damning yourself down this consistently. Like they do it, of course, but they, I mean, there's so much they can do until they really like just okay, I'm tired of feeling myself this, making myself this childish. But please understand this. There's definitely a lot of, there's definitely, this is ran by adults. The adults are dumbing themselves down to the same level. But I understand why they use these children or these child-minded people, I should say. Because man, they'll be like, you are pedo. I was like, first of all, you're gonna hear the issues with the pedophilia, but on top of that, the validation that they force you to have this pedophilia type of torture. Sorry, let me repeat that better. And I'm trying to articulate it best as I can, because I understand that there'll be a time I won't be able to be this articulate, and even this is not even the best of me at this point. But let me just say this: as you heard this woman said, they are forcing men and women to have reaction toward children. They create these false personas that they want you to identify with. They start manipulating your brain to see yourself in this way. For example, not too long ago, I hear this man talking about how he bought this restaurant, and the reason why he bought this restaurant is because his daughter, loved this restaurant and kind of pushed him to have this partnership to get this restaurant. Because this man has a daughter, that started made me think, the man will be, if he saw you, he'll be seeing you as a danger to his daughter. You understand? These people literally are forcing men and women to have reaction toward children. This is why they're painting this thing and putting things together, and they want you to identify with this thing. And in my brain, they really made me feel like, oh my gosh, he'll look at me. You know how bad it has been with me? I've seen fathers walking around their kids. I remember last time, this is just disgusting. Well, it was not disgusting, but it kind of put things in perspective. It's disgusting in a sense, but it's not as disgusting as it could have been. This man was walking around with his 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid. He was laughing. He was excited that I walked by because they're going to do the manipulation. He was looking at me smiling. That's how aware they are about this technology. They are so... This guy was just almost laughing. Because it's like they know who I really am, but they know what this technology can do. So it's like he was laughing at the fact that this is what I'm going to be forced to experience. But he probably know who I truly am, as in I'm not perfect. I know my true, imperfection. So he was laughing about the fact that they're gonna make him have this reaction to my child is 11 years old, but I know who this guy really is. I know he's real, where the stimulation. So he was laughing, he was just not even laughing, he was just laughing. He had this laughter or smile on his face that's he found this whole thing funny. So he understood, okay, this is, it was fun to him. They're gonna make him have this reaction toward this baby. His child is 11 years old, the real child, preteen. Child, not even very much a child. And he was smiling and everything, just laughing around, it was fun to him. So these perps around you, they're very much aware, but they stick around. They stay within this fucking what's the word, persona, because they want you to identify with it. To the point where a father will bring his child, hey, here, come here, let's go walk over there. And the kid is walking by, this girl, just a little girl, walking, understanding the task. Because they know these things here is what they do. Listen to this.
Or bodily functions, for that matter. The other more recent term we have for that is EEG heterodyning, or EEG cloning. The difference between EEG heterodyning and EEG cloning would be, let's say me remotely receiving your EEG and then duplicating it and putting that in another person to give them your same thoughts or feelings or physical reactions. EEG heterodyning would be receiving your EEG, manipulating it to put it back inside your head to give us a desired physical reaction or emotional reaction.
So you hear that? The reason why the father was smiling is because they knew that I was going to be experiencing a reaction that they can design me to experience. And he was laughing about it. He's like, oh, they're going to make him have this reaction that this technology can. It's just disgusting. Because at the end of the day, this is part of this cognitive warfare that we test subject to. This is what this is about. They're developing these weapons. And they have this whole ecosystem to see what tactics works in regard of breaking the target individual down. Listen to this person describing a little bit of what this is about.
Control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And there's something called hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define their probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control a brain?
So you understand the concept here is they are rewiring our thought process and our brain, right? They're doing the things that they want us to see a target individual in this fashion. They create this like tactics of breaking our self-esteem, our self-image, and they want you to identify with this manipulation. For example, via V2K, right? This man said that earlier. You hear this purpose. No, they are. You're gonna hear the humiliating reality of what these people are part of. And the person saying that, it sounds like a child, like somebody who doesn't even know who she is. Sounding like obviously you're trying to convince me to accept this. Now we mapped it because you see the things they put together. These people working for, you'll see who they're working for. You'll see who the name they have to be very careful saying. And you'll see the tactics. You heard this woman say they are forcing her to this program aimed toward children, young people, teenagers. This is not unique to her. You're going to hear more of that, by the way, huh? And you have Perps that try to find whatever they can. It's like, oh no, this contortionist is sad, pathetic, low life. You look at the, I want to make sure that you see this picture over there of this girl at the time, just doing this contortionist move. And there's like, no, you see how you look at her? No, they are, because they are trying to find anything to make me acceptive of this manipulation and reaction they make me have today. These people who you're going to hear the type of torture they utilize. You already heard what this woman said. But this is part of how they try to break you down. This quote-unquote cognitive warfare that we're just test subject to. That we're just using this developing technology onto us. Has the same tactics. Listen to this.
That this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
Cognitive warfare.
Exactly, it's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
You alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds.
Personalities rebuild.
And it's like alter their minds.
Personalities rebuild.
I want to make sure that you heard the last portion and I slowly. He said, because the future warfare will consist of this cognitive warfare. And this is why we're test subject. And you hear this man say, so that you don't have to even just kill these people. You can just alter the mind, which is what I'm experiencing today. My mind is altered. Every time I look at somebody or some childlike individual, they're going to force me to get this reaction. They're altering my mind. And then create this personality rebuild. You hear this person say that, and I wanted to slow that personality rebuild. Literally creating a personality that is created, that is put together. And so not only they manipulate your real-time experience, but they try to put things together to make you accept this the altering of your mind. Whatever they can. Falsified, manipulated, created, very just trying to find whatever that can help paint this personality they will try to build you as. I mean, right now, there's things I want to make it obvious how obviously they try to put things together. They have no shame, and I'm going to make sure to put that in their face. They want you to be shameful while they are shameless. Never. Matter of fact, I'll put that in their face to show them you are degrading yourself, you low life opportunist. But you heard what this person said. Personality implant. And they talk about cognitive warfare in the sense of they're using this as a weapon onto us. This technology is weaponized onto us because they just using us as test subject. You know, this person who talk about EEG cloning, EEG horodyning. Listen to him in front of a bioethic committee speaking about it.
My name is Dr. John Hall. I'm a medical doctor from Texas. As I understand the memorandum from the president, it's for you to determine if current legislation is adequate in protecting individuals and if there's any ongoing experimentation. In reviewing the common rule, it's very obvious that there's a lot of loopholes to informed consent. All of the horrific experiments you've mentioned, Willowbrook, MK Ultra, radiation experiments, mostly were done without informed consent. They were funded by the DoD and intelligence agencies, where I'm not even so sure you would know if there's an IRB, much less if an IRB is looking at informed consent. As a physician, relative to some of what you're hearing today, in the community, we are seeing an alarming rate of complaints of use of electromagnetic weapons, microwave auditory effects, silent sound spectrum, EEG cloning, which has taken the lab out of the laboratory and into the home. Most of these, from the research that we reviewed, can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. I've submitted a paper to you, and there's another paper submitted to each member from another physician in Kansas City.
So you hear that this is obviously meant to, this is a weapon development that is meant to cognitively manipulate you, and obviously not only cognitively but even your body. They're doing things to my body, but this is something that you can clearly see. But you have this trash coming up. It's like, no, it's our research. We're different. It's just so clown-like. It's like, no, we are not the type who manipulate you to have this reaction toward children. It's our research. We're different. And they, with me, you've seen the facade they create, right? So it's really just this psychological warfare in the sense that with even all the validation that you have, you just heard a woman literally say they forced me to have this reaction toward children, this program perversion that they were aimed toward children. She literally said that. And they want me to think, oh, no, we're different. We won't do that. We just really are really trying to figure you out. It's different. And for me, I'm just making sure that they see themselves for the low life that they are. And it doesn't end there. Now, like I said, as they alter your mind, they want you to accept this altering the mind as if this is not them manipulating you. They are really trying to recreate you in a different fashion. It's funny today, they're like, no, now you are. It's like, no, I'm not. I will never be. Matter of fact, you made me something better than before. In the sense that now I find myself dignified. Listen, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to stick around here and present myself as this perfect person. You're just changing it into children. You see, this is the things I used to watch that made me feel wholesome. Not even wholesome, but it took my mind away from any like real thought of sexual. The reason why they use this specific picture of this girl contortionisting herself, if that's a word, it's not a word of, but doing this thing is because this is the only moment there that can be thought of in a sexual way. You see how desperate, you heard the honking? That's because they're so desperate that, oh, there. Look at her, look what she's doing to her body. And look at the picture. It's like, no, there, you could see. This is why you hear this honking. He was honking this hard because it's like, oh, you see that? You see it in that picture there. Can you imagine how sad it is? To try to make you acceptive. But the truth is, when I see these people's content, these kids and these young adults, it was the time when I was like celibate, because it was such a wholesome kind of content that would not make me think anything sexual. It would take away any sexual reaction. It was like so wholesome and so like refreshing that is not even something sexual. It would take that away from me. But today it's the opposite. They are making me have this intense reaction to kids. Obviously from even the babies. But if they do that to the babies, they do this to the older kids. So they try to still paint you in this fashion. And on top of that, let me just say that again. You know what they're saying they're doing too? The people in your brain researching you, right? They're saying they're going to frame you by having their children say that you raped them. I'm saying that the individual saying that, no, it's our research, are saying that they will frame you using their children. Those are the people who are capable to make you experience whatever thoughts that they want you to have. It is ridiculous. They are clowns. This trash contracted by these governmental entities, which you're gonna hear, the country, those entities who are contracting this whole life. But this nastiness that they do, and it's funny as I'm saying that you hear them try to disorient me by calling me a nothing. You understand who's nothing at one point. But this nastiness have these tactics of forcing people to have this sexual reaction toward children. These quote unquote somethings have these common tactics to force people to have reaction toward children. Listen to them.
Referred to as malodorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of...
This woman completely called it pedophilia type of torture. Pedophilia type of torture. There was a perp in my mind interacting with me via V2K, because you're going to hear what V2K is, saying, oh, there's nothing. They really become clowns, these perps. And it's funny to me. I was like, okay, wow, that's your job, huh? Yeah. Let me here was Voice to Skull. The same woman who described what she's going through and the pedophilia type of torture describes V2K.
2K, or Voice to Skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just...
So V2K is this technology that where they can pipe in the voices that they wish to pipe in you. So you hear these people interacting with you, and when they talk to you, they use different ways of sounding, right? They harness a tonality. It's funny. They each have like a little character that they create. Some of them just like, yeah, now we're minded. So you, and whatever way you can try to, like, imagine if you're like like if you try to convince somebody and sound like, okay, if I sound in this way, the mistake is gonna sound like it's true. It's so you, and to me, I'm able to understand what they're doing right now. You're making yourself sound like that, so I can hear you in a different fashion. When in reality, it's just a clown contracted by these governmental entities that is trying to make you acceptive of the manipulation this technology is able to do. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a grown person talking. Yeah, no, it's all you, and make the voices in these ways, and it sound like what they're saying is just because they're saying in this way. Clowns, but they have these tactics of pedophilia, where they're forcing us to experience these reactions. And this is why they want to paint these stories. They pick whatever they can to try to paint this falsified reality, which a lot of it is they are putting things together to make you accept this way they alter in your mind. So, oh no, but okay, you see in that picture there, the way she control there, that you see how you looked at it, that's proof that today what you're experiencing is just as I research. It's so childlike. Even when they try to sound like mistakeful. It's like, now we're there, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. And the things they do to us are horrible, target visual. It's so horrible. But for me, sometimes I try not to, like, it takes, I can laugh about it. Even though I know whatever's going to happen to me is going to happen to me. It's just laughable. It's like, you acting this way? Do you know how childish you sound like? By the way, right now, what I'm being told is, I'm done, as if I don't know the government is just destroying my life. They use childlike people who truly won't even try to even create this as a competition. But let me just continue with the pedophilia type of torture and how commonly it is used. These people who finished me, who quote unquote researching me. I was finished the second I was playing this program, because this is what happens to target ritual. They destroy our body and our minds and rewire us in this cognitively way that's disturbing, and then try to paint you in this fashion. And you have the people who are literally telling you, we are different, but we're gonna frame you with our children. And the reality is they're not different. They are part of this program that is supposed to destroy the life of a target individual using these tactics that are disgusting. Listen to this trans woman who unfortunately no longer with us, where she described exactly what I'm going through too.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. Like, it's disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's
okay. You heard her say just people try to take over her mind and putting thoughts of pedophilia. That is exactly what they've been doing to me. Matter of fact, they're trying to counter it, but try to bring up other things and try. I'm like, nah. Today I'm going to focus on this specific, like to these teenagers. But I am not going to let these people live this fantasy where they are literally altering my mind every day and then try to make me acceptive of the way they alter my mind when they do that to other people. And this pedophilia type of torture is what they've done to so many others. Listen, they are so pedophilia centric, right? That target individuals, a lot of them are saying the same thing. The target individual dealing with V2K specifically, listen to what they do.
Common breakdown tactic of belief systems into human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
Almost all target individuals are forced to see child pornography in their mind. I want you to remember that word, those words, child pornography, because it's gonna come up a lot with this fucking trash and the entities running this program. Because the projection of reality is just magical with me, or with a lot of target individuals, because these entities developing this technology, these weapons, have had consistent issues that you're gonna hear, and I'll make sure I bring that up, and also bring a little extra thing here that just mostly applies to me, because to me I see that as a blessing to make sure that I see this low life for the low life that they are. But you heard what this person what they say. This is based on the no touch torture coming from Robin Duncan. He interviewed 1,000 target individuals with V2K. Almost all of them said something about child pornography being implanted in their mind. It's so nasty. But this is what they do. And so with the ability to manipulate you, which the manipulation consists of sexual manipulation. Listen to this.
This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
So they force you to have sexual arousals, and they aim those sexual arousals toward children of all ages, babies to teenage kids. Matter of fact, as I was going through her picture, her Instagram, this stimulation, even as an adult, the forced stimulations, it was so crazy. It was intense. And then try to feel guilty. It's like, no, oh my gosh, jack off. I'm sorry for the language, but do this and that. I'm like, you're such a clown. I will never let them live the fantasy. Listen, I know the reality of things. Listen, I am a target individual. I'm a test subject, and there's not a lot of hope for anything for me, because the government is doing this thing to me. Like I said, these governmental entities are destroying my life. You know, these retards here try to make me think it's something else but this massive government. Oh, by the way, this is something they do to others too. Listen to that.
The V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis, that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
And we know what massive government has been working on this. It's been clear. Massive governments have been working on how to alter the mind for years. So you know the involvement of the Department of Defense is strong in here, because there's things like that.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day. Human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior.
So you have these people try to present themselves for anything but this massive government. We're researching your brain, we're mapping all these bullshit stories, because the truth is they're altering you. They're altering your mind. They're making you experience reaction that you will not experience naturally. They are redesigning you in some other ways, creating personalities that are put together and try to find whatever they can to try to make you acceptive of this. And you have the whole ecosystem. That's why you have people like outside making this noise campaign when they try to make you acceptive of this thing. For example, this honk. It's because This person, they want to box in these ways, they put things together and they try to make you understand this cognitive warfare. It's like brainwashing on a level that is just surreal, on steroid. Do you understand? But the humiliating reality, though, because these are just tactics of breaking you down, degrading your brain, try to break your self-image and your ego. They want you to start identifying yourself that way. So this is why when this man talks about his daughter, they're like, oh, you see, he has a daughter. If he saw you, he'll do this. Like, you guys are the threat to children. You heard the testimonials of what they do to kids. And on top of that, for a program where they're forcing people to have reaction toward children. You heard this woman. The first testimonial was a woman who said her and her family was targeted. Then they kind of they kind of switch things around. What I mean by switch things around, they start forcing her to have reaction toward children. And she calls it the program perversion. What I mean is, they will start giving her stimulations, those sexual arousals that can make you experience. They start making her have that toward children, young people. And teenager will do this thing, like will partake and have this like fake like attitudes, which is funny. As they say that they slam the doors and try to make you identify with this, and force her to have arousals toward children. Now, the reality of what these people work for, the governmental entities they work for, these people truly are the threat to children. As today, they force me to have this reaction toward children. All these babies, from the little babies to the older kids. The little kids are the worst for me. It's so disgusting. The older kids, he's like, oh, shut up. You don't even come near me. They have their kids just walk. You should see this teenager when they try to walk and they think in their mind they look seductive. They don't even know how to walk like women. They have this weird freaking. But my brain, what happens is they try to create perception. Because this, as you heard, voice to skull can also manipulate your perception. So they can even create like shapeliness that they don't have. But it's still comical to see this like teenage just walking and don't even know how to walk like women. But try to walk in this like, seductive way that's so disgusting. Just in the and it's funny. These kids they stay in character because they know the technology can make him look at me in these ways. They know very well. The parents know that too. Like I said, that father, he was laughing. It's like they're gonna make him look at not even look. They're gonna make him perceive my child this way. They're gonna give him this reaction. He knows. He was laughing about it. Because he knows, like, I know what really would make you feel this reaction, but I know they can make you feel this reaction toward this kid here. And these kids know, but they stay in character. So they walk, and sometimes I'm like, do you look at your dumb ass? You think you are nothing to me. You are like an heir to me. You could do nothing to me. They're like you know how you look at air? Like it's nothing, there's nothing there. That's how I look at this trash. But because this technology can restructure my brain in these ways, now I get these perceptions, manipulations, my mind is altered. And so they try to find whatever they can to try to paint these storylines. And they falsify memories. Oh my gosh. Memories manipulated. The way it's funny, like for example, I would look at somebody like that, like I was mad at them. They're like, oh, but you thought you looked at her like that, like this, like ugh. It's so pathetic. And then you hear the people honking, try to make you acceptive of these false versions of memories, false versions of perceptions, false versions of narratives to make you acceptive of this. But listen to this manipulation of memories and all that, and it's nothing new. Like I said, thankfully there's testimonials of all sorts. Listen to this.
Able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
I did not write this. This is somebody called Darius. That's his testimonial, describing exactly what I went through, or what I'm going through. Matter of fact, they try to counter what he was saying because it's clear. They are altering your mind. You hear this noise campaign of people try to box in this fantasy, this false reality. But the reality is those entities contracting this trash that you hear, this making noise campaign with trash, awkwardly enough, actually work for governmental entities with issue pedophilia. Now, for me, what they try to do is like, oh, they're going to rape you so bad. I was like, whatever is going to happen to me, before it happens, I'm going to make sure that these people see themselves for the shit that they are. And I will never identify with this manipulation, however they put things together and try to box it in. Whatever manipulation and change and altering my mind. They know that when we see each other in person, it's not going to happen that way. You will not live your fantasy. I will look at you for the trash that you are. And they try to use different lingo. Now we mapped. It's so disgusting with me. They create this like facade of people where, because they present themselves in these ways. And I gotta say, sometimes it's a little bit racial. I gotta bring that up. Not even just racial, but look at us as these intellectuals, progressive. And so when we evolve in this, we're not altering your mind. We mapped it. Bunch of trash. And then there's ways I can really humiliate them, and you're going to hear them how. But just the reality, you heard the Department of Defense has been working on technology that can alter the mind since the 60s, specifically DARPA, which DARPA is part of the Department of Defense, and they specialize in the technology, very advanced technology. DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Program Agency or Project Agency. If this is what DARPA is, listen to what DARPA stand for, and while you're gonna hear what it stands for, listen to the issue that's been coming up around the DoD.
Potentially making this. The Defense Department releasing brand new details into an investigation involving child pornography and dozens of its workers and contractors, some with top-level security clearance. Not only are these very serious accusations, but investigators say some of the people involved were handling the nation's most sensitive secrets, potentially making this a matter of national security. Chief Fox Report correspondent Jonathan Hunt with the news. Appalling story, Jonathan. Do we know more about these people and their security clearances?
Well, we don't know their exact job titles, John, but what we do know is that they did appear to be working, some of them, at high levels across a range of government agencies. Take a look at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency.
You heard the last part, right? The very secretive Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA. The entities that work on this technology have had issues of pedophilia that are so disturbing. But it's just not one or two individuals. It's such an issue that this happened in 2018. Listen to this.
According to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography.
I don't want to put it the ranking because they've tried to counter that by creating a way of thinking to block the ranking, which consists of a top tier. I want to focus on this. They ranked in the top tier for trafficking the most child porn in the United States in 2018. The Department of Defense network. Yes, these people mapping who they're working for, the technology they're utilizing, the tactics. This massive government. This is the massive government that you heard with this issue. Do you see the irony of it all? As they use these tactics to break us down, as this cognitive warfare type of tactics, the reality of how they try to create this persona is actually these people persona. Or at least I shouldn't say these people. That the people within these personas, there's a lot of those individuals, these pedophiles in these agencies. There's a lot of pedophiles in those agencies to be ranked this high. And by the way, let me just repeat that. They said this ranking came from the DoD network, meaning that they're using the DoD computers and network to download so much child porn that this agency, this service, that is the watchdog that reviews this kind of nastiness to make sure to see where it's coming from, is saying that it's coming so much from there that they're ranked in the top tier for trafficking and accessing child porn. This is not one or two people here and there. No, they are ranked in the top tier to the point where this bill was created in 2019. They're supposed to do this.
The fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's the offices at RT America, wherever you go into an office, you do not have the right to simply use to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those.
So you hear what they're trying to do with this bill, which is called End National Defense Network Abuse Act. There was so much child porn being downloaded, according to the 2018 study, that they were ranking the DoD network as top tier for trafficking child porn. You just heard it. And this bill, what all it tries to do is to try to limit this child porn that's coming in the DoD network by just reviewing what's they're gonna just, you heard, this bill is just going to be focusing on reviewing the computers that's providing to them by the DoD, which is they're already doing that, but they're going to be, I guess, more focused onto it. It's disgusting. And you have this clown that was doing, it's funny, with V2K, they're using this tonality. And this Perp, she has created this character, right? And like I said, this technology can pipe in voices remotely. So this person's character is like, I'm so bored. Oh, it's not fair. They go through things because they want me to stop not thinking about this obviousness that these people are the threat to children. And I'm not even going to bring what they do to children. No, not in this video. This is about the personality they try to implant. You've heard enough of how mean they are to children. So this video can be focused on something else. The personality, the psychological game they play. But this issue of pedophilia has been continuously coming up. Listen to this.
So disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable.
I mean, it keeps coming back. For me, I look at it as like, thank you, God. It adds to this, like, thank you, God, I have this information. Because on top, these people, the manipulation, the game that they can have in your brain is so powerful. Like, it's hard. Listen, your whole ecosystem is surrounded by people who are trying to make you accepting of these manipulations and this personality. It is very powerful. You are isolated and put in places where your whole ecosystem is trying to make you accepting of this manipulation. And whatever things they've tried to put together, they're doing everything possible. You heard the noise campaign. For example, you heard this honking, right? They are trying to really push in this false persona by any means. It's like, accept this. Oh my gosh, you got us here. And this is just like a slap in their face that is so magical. It's like, no, this technology does that. But on top of that, the people who come up with this technology are the people with the issues that you're trying to implant in me. It is validated that these people have problem. Listen, this is the question this man said because of these things that keeps coming up.
Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs...
And this man is not exaggerating. You heard it. A whole bill was created for that. You know, before I knew about the whole End National Defense Network Abuse Act, maybe I was like, maybe he's like overdoing it. Maybe he's exaggerating. Maybe there's a few pedophiles here and there in this agency. No. There's a whole ranking of top tier child porn trafficking and accessing. Thousands. This is not a small problem here and there where there's just a few people here and there. No. It's a real big problem. So he was not even exaggerating. And this technology, like this man says, is very strong. Like they can really box in these things and put these things together. And these perps around are contracted to just day in and day out. Look how they can manipulate you and adjust things around to try to paint this false reality while manipulating the correct experiences that you have today. And these are, no, it's war. It's not war. I'm just a test subject in this. These governmental entities, these massively powerful entities are just using me as a test subject, and you're just one of these trash implementing their tactics. But they wanted to do this in this fantasized reality. But for me, I'm so thankful there's a lot of validation. First of all, let me just bring this up here. This man said that how powerful this technology can be.
Have you acknowledged ahead of time, Len, would you have gone through as much pain? I mean, you would have been able better to cope early on. Right. So we're trying to spread awareness and knowledge of, you know, that it's a machine and not your actual family, let's say, berating you. And mind control is so powerful in these weapons and voice to God. I mean, you have no ability to discern, like looking at a computer screen, a television, what goes into your mind. It is directly stimulating those neurons to think that. So I mean,
so this man said it in this way, like they have this ability to play with your thought process. It's just like when you watch a movie, the way you like process the movie or whatever you're watching, they can create this kind of ways of processing things and manipulate it and create this personality. And wanting you to accept this way is like, no, but it start making you think, but look at how this person looks like. They wouldn't be manipulating you this ways. When you have validated that they do these things systematically, that so many have said the same things. You know yourself. And they try to like combat your brain and make you think in this way. When you know they do the pedophilia type of torture, this woman with her, she had children. Also, then they force her to have program perversion and young people literally saying that. Exactly. And she didn't say that just right after you said that. She said it way before you. This man is literally describing they're altering the mind. They're doing this personality rebuild. Listen, I even wrote this letter where I was like, I'm no longer myself. I'm being forced to experience this. Like, they're literally conditioning you to be somebody else. And then try to paint you by putting things together. To try to make you acceptive. And they are falsifying even your memories. Falsifying your perception of those memories, falsifying things to try to find ways to get you to accept this, looking for what they can use. Oh, okay, we can say this person like that, but you know, you get to the point where it's so nasty. There's this person I was with, right? I talked about it earlier, and I'm gonna embarrass them, and they would try to gaslight me. So how old was she? Whatever. And this is not a person I personally knew. I knew her. I got to know her because of somebody else, right? Somebody who's a little bit older with a family and whatnot. He's been with her and he introduced me to her. So I guess to connect us, and I'm not perfect, so to connect us to end up being together, right? This person, I never met. It's like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to this person. Okay, and that's a woman he dealt with before, and he's like, hey, yeah, listen, I'm like, okay, let's go. Though no idea who this person is. I don't know her. Tonight is gonna be the first night I meet her. He introduced me to her. This is somebody he clearly have a history with, sexual history. And we ended up being intimate that night. Because this man set this thing up. Who's a friend of a family. And we got intimate, and that's that. I don't know her, never talked to her again. This is the only reason I got intimate with her is because this man was with her before, and it's like, hey, she's kind of, you should introduce. I'm going to introduce you to her, but we tend to like hook each other up with hookups, I guess. And so they try to bring her up again. How old was she? I'm like, you know what? I don't know her well enough to know. Like, I just met her that night, and then it's because of this man who's older than me, who's married, who's been with her. But I can talk to her. So I start talking to her, right? And my thought, I was like, maybe she's early 20s, or something like that. And I'm like, hey, I found a way to like bring her age up, right? I was like, hey, how old are you now? How's everything? And she gave me her age. Okay. When she gave me the age, it was simple math, because she gave me her age, and I'm like, okay, well, if last time I saw her was 3-4 years ago, so her age when I was with her is that age minus 3-4 years ago whenever we were together, and that age equated to 19 years old. I used my calculator. Now, I was using my calculator to also be condescending. I was like, okay, well, you want to see her age? And so, based on the calculator, it says 20 years old. But I was like, okay, maybe her birthday was later on after we met. So let's just say the youngest she was 19. I was like, okay, she was a 19-year-old. That's a little too young for me, actually. But the reason why I was with her is because this man that was with her introduced me to her. And I was like, okay, it was more like, you understand. So, and this man is a perp. And they're trying, the math was wrong. I was like, really? First of all, this man that introduced me to her is just like these perps here. He was participating the same way this trash perp participate. So I got hold to, I'm talking to him again. Just to put these people in this, look at your low life, look. You try to pay me these ways. I don't know this girl. The only reason I know her is because this guy hooked me up with her. I don't know who she is. And he's older. And he met her probably when she was younger. You understand? So that now we see that. It's like, no. The math is wrong. She's under. It's like, she's a clown. Okay. Let me talk to this man again, who's a perp just like you, who actually is older than me and was with this girl, maybe even when she was younger. Do you understand how disgusting it is? So they should be looking at their own people, if anything. And the person who becomes now like a family friend but becomes a perp, is so crazy. So, to humiliate them, I start talking to this man. And let me just say that this man was fully married with children, for a few years older than me, maybe 5-6. The only reason why I got with this woman is because he's been with her, and he's like, hey, he's just new in town, and I'm not perfect. So I was like, okay, well, let's see how it goes. You understand the reality? Because on my own, I'll never even ever even be interested in somebody that 19. Jesus, I'm good. Today, even somebody under 30 is just like, ugh. It's just, I mean, obviously, I can look at a 28-year-old and be like, wow, even a 20. But when it becomes under 30, I'm not even, it just becomes a little weird. But it's very much okay. I could definitely be with 29. I was, but anyways, my point is, they are disorienting me and creating a new reality that's falsified. Do you know how humiliating it gets for them? As they try to paint these pictures and storylines. Just say, oh, but you see how you looked at her when she's contortioning, like what? These people are not able to say this man's. You see that picture over there of somebody like scared, and you see that name below? This is this talk show. I think it's Colbert. And in 2018, I'm not sure. This man called Roy Moore was running for governor of Alabama. The reason why I know this name and the reason why I bring that up so many times is because I used to work for an employer who donated a lot of money. After this allegation came out that this man, when he was an assistant DA in his mid-30s, was picking up kids at the YMCA, at different places where there were kids. They've been trying to make me think, trying to make me imagine their stories. The story this man it's crazy. Projection of reality is non-stop. Try to find ways to make me think that I'm this character. But they can't even say that they have problem. I don't know, for some reason. I don't know the specifics. But I can just say what I've recognized. I've recognized that they cannot say Roy Moore to me. They cannot bring up his name for some reason in a clear way. The way they say it is when I'm saying the name, when I'm not paying attention, it's like it's been like it's as if they've been restricted to say this person's name. They even turned red. Listen, I was at the office. They like to use this femme fatale, trying to look like people, super fierce. And I remember looking at one of them and I say, "Hey, Roy Moore." I just said that because I was like, "Why are they so scared to say this man's name?" This woman just started dodging away, looking away. It's like I was saying the name of this blasphemous name of a God that they shouldn't be saying. So there's obviously some kind of thing going on there where there's a restriction. So now I'm like, really? This is how pathetic it gets. You can say the name of this man who allegedly doing this when he was a 35-year-old assistant DA? How much more can one have to be validated that you guys are just clowns? To them, it's provoking that you can't say the name of somebody who allegedly picking up kids as 14 years old. Well, you are here to... No, but you see the body in that moment, you could see it on top of everything else. Listen to who they have to be very coy by saying his name. It's like they have to be so mysterious saying this man's name. Listen to him. Listen to what he allegedly did as a 35-year-old.
A food court. More even went to the mall to get into the holiday spirit. One woman recalls that she was 14 and working as Santa's helper at the Gadsden Mall in 1977 when Moore first spoke to her and told her she would look pretty. 2 years later, when she was 16, he asked her out on dates. He hit on one of Santa's elves. Well, a true evangelical, he's putting the Christ back in Christmas. Wow. And I hear the sleigh bells jingling, ring, ting, tingling too. It wasn't just the mall, folks. One Alabama journalist claims that Moore was also banned from the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior as soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA.
This is another validation for me to see them for what they're truly a part of. They are restructuring reality by every means possible and wanting you to accept this falsified memory, falsified reactions and thought process and personalities and memories and whatever they can create and manipulate to make you accepting of this false persona and countering reality by any means. And it's supposed to make you accepting of it. And to me, it's like, it's over. I'll never identify with this. But with that being said, they think that if they torture me to the point, to whatever ways, like, you'll be castrated, you're going to be just like, whatever's going to happen to me, I will never identify with this manipulation. Never. Never. Please understand that. They will try to counter this by altering my memories of something else. And I'm not going to make this video here. But I will perhaps talk about this memory manipulation again, because they try to counter the reality of things. They're trying to counter reality and countering whatever they can, however they can. But the reality is, this is who they are. This is what they do. This is what the entity is doing. This is the issues that have been trending in those entities. And this is the tactics they've been utilizing to break you down. I will never let this low life live their fantasy.